On Easter Monday, April 21st, 2025, the world was struck by the news of Pope Francis's death. He passed away at the age of 88, leaving behind a legacy that touched millions. As the first pope from Latin America and the first Jesuit to hold the position, Pope Francis stood out for his humility, compassion, and bold approach to leadership. He often spoke for the poor, called for peace, and encouraged the Church to be more open and understanding in a modern world. His death marks the end of a historic papacy and the beginning of a rare and important moment in the Catholic Church. With the Pope's seat now empty, the Vatican enters a period known as sede vacante, a Latin phrase meaning, "the seat is vacant." This is a time when the Church pauses to mourn the loss of its leader, while quietly preparing for what comes next. The death of a pope is not only a moment of sorrow, but also one of transition and great responsibility. Questions immediately arise. Who will lead the Church now? How is the next pope chosen? What steps must be taken before a new leader is announced to the world? Many Catholics, and even those outside the faith, look toward the Vatican to understand what happens in the days and weeks following such a significant event. In this video, we'll walk through the process that begins the moment a pope passes away. From the funeral to the selection of the next pontiff, we'll explain each step in clear and simple terms. Whether you're Catholic or just curious, this is a moment of global importance, and it all begins now. When a pope dies, the very first step is an official announcement from the Vatican. This announcement is made to inform the world that the leader of the Catholic Church has passed away. The news is usually confirmed by doctors and top church officials before being shared publicly. Shortly after Pope Francis died on Easter Monday, the Vatican released a statement with the exact time of death and some details about his final moments. After this, the Vatican enters a special period known as sede vacante, which is Latin for the seat being vacant. This means the position of pope is now empty. This is a very important time in the Church, as it marks the end of one papacy and the beginning of the process to find the next leader. During sede vacante, many things inside the Vatican change. For example, the Pope's apartment is sealed and no one is allowed to use it. His ring, which he used to sign official documents, is destroyed to prevent forgery. The Vatican flag may also be flown at half-staff, and many events are paused or canceled during this time of mourning. The Pope is the head of the Catholic Church, but he also leads a small country, the Vatican itself. So when the Pope dies, even government activities inside the Vatican stop temporarily. No new laws are passed. No major decisions are made. Everyone's focus turns to preparing for the funeral and the next steps to select a new pope. Once the Pope's death is announced, the funeral plans begin. Papal funerals are large, formal events filled with tradition. The funeral usually takes place about 4 to 6 days after the Pope's death. During this time, his body is displayed in St. Peter's Basilica so that people from all over the world can come to pay their respects. This period is called the lying in state, and it often draws huge crowds. Thousands of people stand in long lines to say a final goodbye. Pope Francis requested a simple funeral. Instead of being buried in the crypt under St. Peter's Basilica, like most recent popes, he chose to be laid to rest in the Basilica of St. Mary Major in Rome. This was one of his favorite churches, and he often visited it to pray before and after important events. By choosing this site, Pope Francis made it clear that he wanted to be remembered with humility and closeness to the people. The funeral mass is led by the College of Cardinals and usually attended by world leaders, religious figures, and many bishops and priests. There are special prayers, hymns, and a message remembering the life and work of the Pope. After the funeral, the Pope's body is placed in a coffin and buried according to his wishes. This time is not only for the Church to say goodbye to its leader, but also for the public to express their grief and gratitude. People gather in churches around the world, light candles, and pray. News channels report every moment, and millions watch the funeral on television or online. It's a time of global mourning and reflection. After the funeral, the Church begins preparing to choose a new pope. This is the job of the College of Cardinals, a group of senior church leaders from around the world. There are usually about 120 cardinals who are under the age of 80 and allowed to vote. These cardinals have been appointed over the years by different popes and come from many different countries and cultures. During the time of sede vacante, the cardinals begin holding daily meetings in the Vatican. These are called general congregations. In these meetings, they talk about the needs of the Church, the legacy of the late Pope, and the qualities they hope to find in the next leader. These discussions are important because they help guide the cardinals in choosing someone who will lead the Church with wisdom and strength. While all of this is happening, no campaigning is allowed. Cardinals are not supposed to ask others to vote for them or promote themselves in any way. The process is meant to be prayerful, respectful, and guided by the Holy Spirit. Another part of the cardinals' role during this time is organizing the conclave, the secret meeting where the new pope will be elected. They must make sure that the Sistine Chapel is prepared, that all the voting materials are ready, and that the area is secure. No outside communication is allowed during the conclave, which means no phones, internet, or even contact with friends or family. The cardinals take an oath of secrecy and promise to protect the fairness of the election. Once the conclave begins, they will stay inside the Vatican until a new pope is chosen. This process usually takes a few days, but it can take longer if the cardinals cannot agree on a candidate. During this time, people around the world wait and watch. When white smoke rises from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, it means a new pope has been chosen. When black smoke appears, it means no decision has been made yet. After the funeral of a pope, the next big event is the conclave. This is the secret meeting where the next pope is chosen. The word conclave comes from Latin and means with a key. That's because the cardinals are locked inside the Vatican, with no outside contact, until they make their decision. The conclave takes place in the Sistine Chapel, one of the most famous and beautiful places in the Vatican. This is where all the voting happens. Only certain cardinals are allowed to vote, those who are under the age of 80. Right now, there are about 120 eligible cardinal electors from all around the world. Each one has a vote, and all of them are expected to attend. Before the voting starts, the cardinals take a solemn oath. They promise to keep everything secret, to be honest, and to follow the rules. No phones, no internet, and no news from the outside world is allowed. It's a quiet, serious time that involves a lot of prayer and reflection. The cardinals vote up to 4 times a day, 2 votes in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. To be elected pope, one cardinal must receive a 2/3 majority of the votes. After each round of voting, the ballots are burned in a special stove. If no one is elected, the smoke that rises is black. If a new pope is chosen, the smoke is white. This smoke signal lets the world know what's happening inside the chapel. The upcoming conclave is expected to begin between May 6th and May 11th, 2025. It may take just a few days, or it could last longer if there's no clear agreement. Once a new pope is chosen, he steps out onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica and is introduced to the world with the words, Habemus Papam, which means, we have a pope. Choosing a new pope is one of the most important decisions in the Catholic Church. The cardinals will be looking for someone who can guide over 1 billion Catholics around the world. So what kind of person might they choose? Some believe the Church will want to continue in the same direction Pope Francis was leading. He focused on caring for the poor, protecting the environment, and building bridges between people. He spoke out about modern issues and tried to make the Church more welcoming to everyone. A pope who shares these values might be seen as someone who could carry on his work. Others may feel it's time to return to more traditional leadership. They might prefer someone who strongly defends church doctrine and holds firmly to old practices. This kind of pope would focus more on the past than on change. A few names are already being talked about as possible successors. One is Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle from the Philippines. He's known for his kind heart, deep faith, and close connection to the poor. Another is Cardinal Matteo Zuppi from Italy, a man who has worked hard for peace and unity in the Church. Both are seen as open-minded but deeply faithful. There could also be surprise choices. In the past, some popes were elected even though they were not considered favorites. What matters most is that the new pope is someone who can lead with courage, wisdom, and love. The death of a pope is a moment of sorrow, but it is also a time of hope. Around the world, Catholics are mourning Pope Francis, but they are also thinking about the future of the Church. People are gathering in churches, lighting candles, and praying for the cardinals who must now choose a new leader. Many Catholics are reflecting on what Pope Francis meant to them. Some saw him as a breath of fresh air, someone who listened and made them feel included. Others had concerns about his modern approach and hoped the next pope will be more traditional. No matter their views, this is a moment when Catholics feel deeply connected to their faith and to one another. World leaders have also shared their condolences, remembering Pope Francis as a man of peace and humility. His legacy goes far beyond the Church. He spoke out on issues that affect all of humanity, like climate change, war, poverty, and justice. Even people who were not Catholic respected his voice and his values. This transition also brings a chance for renewal. The Church now has an opportunity to reflect on what matters most and where it wants to go next. With the election of a new pope, there is a chance to heal divisions, inspire new faith, and move forward with unity and purpose. The days following the death of a pope are filled with tradition, emotion, and important decisions. First comes the official mourning and funeral, a time for the world to say goodbye. Then comes the Conclave, where cardinals from around the globe gather to elect a new leader. And finally, the white smoke rises, the signal that a new pope has been chosen. This is a time of deep meaning for the Catholic Church. It is a moment when history is made and the future is shaped. People are praying, wondering, and waiting. The world now looks to the Vatican for the next chapter. As we await the announcement of the new pope, we also remember the powerful legacy of Pope Francis. His life was one of service, simplicity, and compassion. His voice reached far beyond church walls. And even though he is gone, his influence remains strong. A new spiritual leader will soon emerge, but the message and mission of Pope Francis will continue to echo in the hearts of millions, and within the ancient walls of the Vatican itself. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update on the papal election. Tell us in the comments, what do you hope to see in the next pope?